The heat is no joke. From as early as 7 a.m., one can expect the rays from the sun to peek their way through their window, sweating, twisting and turning in your bed, wearing the least amount of clothes to help cool you down, but nothing works. Wondering if the place could get any hotter, you start to question some of your life decisions. Walking on the street amplifies this. As the sun rays hit your strong melanin, you reach for your umbrella, hat, shades, water, or even find a cool place to shelter. Am I about to have a heat stroke, or is something else happening to me? But wait, how do I know if it's heat stroke that I'm experiencing?
So heat stroke is the most severe form of heat illness, and it is really defined as a condition where your body temperature goes up to 40 degrees centigrade and where there is some form of neurologic dysfunction. And what I mean by that is loss of consciousness, or seizures, fainting spells, etc.
Doc, how does someone identify heat stroke?
So for heat stroke, you may be sweating excessively, or your skin might be very dry and hot. You would be fainting, you would have lost consciousness, or you may be having a seizure at the time. Prior to the heat stroke though, there may be some warning signs, like you may be nauseous, vomiting, diarrhea, having muscle cramps, becoming confused. You may have an increased heartbeat, and you may be very thirsty, and you may have mood changes or irritability.
Okay, Doc. So what is the first thing a bystander should do if they suspect someone might have heat stroke?
One of the first things is to call for help, because heat stroke is a medical emergency and you will definitely need to take the person into an accident and emergency department. However, it is important to move the person as soon as possible to a cool place, to try and cool them down with a water or ice bath, to ensure that their clothing is loose. So you would move tight clothing from them. You would try to circulate air around them, for example, using a fan.
I get what you're saying, but how can it be prevented?
So heat stroke can be prevented by ensuring that you decrease the amount of sun exposure, especially when you are doing physical activity. Now, in a person who is working in the sun, clearly they have to do that work, but they can help by taking rest breaks in a cooler area, drinking a lot of liquids every 15 minutes or so.
Now that we know how to prevent heat stroke, how can it be treated, Doc?
Heat stroke is treated at a hospital. It is, as I said, a severe form of heat illness, and therefore the person will require IV fluids, oxygen, cool baths, or even ice baths, regulation of their temperature and their vital signs.
Is there a difference between heat stroke and heat exhaustion?
Heat exhaustion, there is no loss of consciousness and the symptoms are not as severe. So the person would be, their temperature would still be within the normal temperature. They would be sweating profusely to try and keep their temperature down. They would be aware that something is going wrong with them. So they may have headaches, and they are able to drink fluid. So you can actually give them fluid at that point in order to prevent it from getting onto heat stroke.
How long does it take to recover from heat stroke?
There are several risk factors that make heat stroke more likely to happen or more likely to impair the individual. As I had said, heat stroke can be fatal. So if you're elderly, if you're taking certain types of medications, it may not be as easy for you to recover from it. Whereas if you're a young, active person, the risk factors are less, and your recovery is likely to be smoother, or recovery is likely to be possible any at all.